the SM Media Podcast Network. Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the 80 right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike. It is always a pleasure to be your host as always. I'm looking forward to this week's show. We've obviously got a busy weekend to cover, but it's a delight to be joined by our special guest this week, the head coach of Glasgow University, James MacAulay.
Thank you very much for having me, Scott. Pleasure to come on the show. I love the work you do.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. It's a real pleasure to get you on. We obviously kind of start by talking about your season so far, how you are getting on. We'll touch on that. One thing I will just say is, and I'm glad I've got you on because I think you might have watched our prediction show at the start of the season. I was very kind of like cautious of where the uni teams would be, as I am with a lot of uni teams, as I'm sure we'll get into. All I can say is you've exceeded my expectations this season, so well done in doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, don't worry, I watched the show, so it's not only this podcast that's predicted us to go down. So listen, we're used to that. We're used to quite a lot of people writing us off and quite a lot of teams writing us off. That's something we thrive on, and we've always had it at the uni. But listen, yes, we're doing well, but I think we could be doing better, to be perfectly honest. Obviously sitting 10th in the league, but I think we could be doing better.
The always the worry I've got with university teams is, and I've spoke to uni managers this season and seasons before, and the one thing they always say to me is, and I'd imagine it's something you're going to say as well, you don't really know who and what you're getting until mid-September, obviously when term starts. Like,
Yes, sorry, so yes, so it's difficult because obviously the recruitment process is
yeah,
so important. But luckily this year, I actually had a good squad
hmm
from sort of Mark Adams' time, and a lot
yeah,
of them boys are still there. So the squad of boys that I had last year with Mark are pretty much the same boys. So I've heard some podcasts saying they'll struggle because they're going down, and the boys will struggle in terms of character, get
hmm
themselves back up. And look, that was the case at the start of the season, but we've started to see an uplift now. But yeah, to be honest, the squad is pretty much the same as last year. A couple of additions, but I'm sure we'll go on to that a wee bit more.
and like in terms of the kind of results, like I remember having a conversation a few weeks ago with somebody, and like they'd asked, "Is there a team that have really impressed you?" And I said Glasgow Uni for the simple reason that like the start of the season you've had, I don't think things were great at the start. But you look at recent results, like 7-1 and 7-6 against Thorn. Now that game, I think, is a podcast in itself, going by what I've
Yeah,
heard. But I mean, there's results in there that impressed me as well. Like going to Ryan winning 3-2, beating Ardea 5-3 at home, and then obviously the result of the weekend beating Irvine Vicks, as we'll get into. Like one thing about your side that I can definitely see, and I'm sure you'll agree, is there's goals there.
too many goals to be honest. Going in our net as well, but no. Obviously, that foreign game you touch on, as you said, that could be a podcast in itself.
Yeah.
We picked up some fantastic results like that. Consistency has probably been the problem.
Mhm.
So obviously, you touched on the start of the season. We lost four of our first five games,
Yeah.
which was obviously not an ideal start, having just come down a league. But since then, actually in the league, we've only lost two games
Yeah.
since August in the league, so that's got to be a positive. Now, my problem I have with the boys sometimes is we go and beat Foreign and maybe don't back it up the next week.
Mhm.
We can get a good result and then maybe get a draw, good result, loss. So that's something we've got to improve on. If we get the consistency, I think you could see us go further up the table.
And like the one kind of thing as well, like, I wanted to touch on cups as well because like beating Rob Roy 3-2 at home in the Junior Cup, like obviously Hermes in the North are a decent side that I don't think a lot of the viewers will know much about. But I spoke to a couple of people at Hermes before coming onto this show, and they were really impressed with how you set up.
Yeah, so obviously that was a massive result for us at Kirky.
Yeah,
First time ever in the Scottish Junior Cup. That was a brilliant match, and I was actually gutted that we lost to Hermes because you might have spoke to some of them, but we actually battered them on the day. To be honest,
that's exactly what they said.
we lost 1-0, probably one chance they had, and it was a wee bit unlucky, but we didn't take our chances and got what we deserved. But that's probably one disappointment this year. In terms of the cups, I could probably blame a wee bit of an unlucky draw. We got knocked out the Scottish by Tynecastle, knocked out the South Challenge by Genefield Swifts, and we also lost to Carluke in another cup. So that's one thing I think we need to improve on for next season on the boys. We want to do better than the cups because um, yeah, everyone loves a cup then. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So
Yeah. And the other thing that really impresses me is in like you look at other teams, particularly in the third division, like they have players that have got maybe goal scorers that have scored more than 10. You have seven players who've scored 5 or 4 goals. Like having that spread, how important is that for a squad? Like in terms of like, I wouldn't say there's as much as a talisman there, but there's certainly a good spread of goals among the squad. Like that really impresses me seeing that.
yeah, that's an interesting one because as you said, we don't really have an out and out goal scorer,
Mm-hmm.
but there's boys chipping in with goals. Our defenders, they score quite a good few from set pieces and so on. We've got a good set piece taker that scored a couple from them. Our striker at the moment is actually transformed from a centre back, so that's a
Right.
decision
Okay.
I made at the start of the season. So Tom Reed, he's gone and scored a good few as he's been up there. So that was a tough decision, but it's turned to work out okay. But yeah, that's something that's always pleasing. You can't just rely on one person to get the goals, and the fact that everyone's chipping in is excellent. Yeah.
And like obviously the one thing, and this is kind of a running joke in the channel, we call the Excelsior Stadium the Tatty Field.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the one thing about it is though you talk to a lot of people that have played at it or play at the one thing they say is it's a really good artificial surface. Like
Yeah.
how important is that? Like, imagine you're a manager who wants to build up a style of play, you want to play football the right way. How important is it to have that sort of facility to use?
Yeah, it's honestly probably the biggest joy of taking this job, playing at a stadium like that, playing on a surface like that, and the football we play and the identity I've wanted at Glasgow Uni. We're able to showcase that on the pitch. If you speak to other managers, they would probably say that we're quite a hard team to play at Airdrie, and that's down to fitness levels. The pitch is very big. We like to play. The fitness levels are good for us, and don't get me wrong, a lot of teams are very fit as well, but that's something we pride ourselves on. So we often feel that when teams come into us, we should win. That's how confident we are because let's be honest, teams aren't used to playing on a pitch that side, a surface that good every week in our league, and that's with no disrespect. But obviously, you go to pitches like Daldy, Irvine, Victoria, and it's
Yeah,
a very different game of football.
yeah.
And as you sort of touched on, we've got better at getting results in them places, but going back home to Airdrie is something we love to do, obviously.
And like we've mentioned, obviously the league, like 16 games so far this season, 10th place, 22 points, 35 goals, 33 conceded. Like there's a consistency there. Like it's been fairly solid. How surprised have you been by the kind of level of the league?
So the level of the league's been very good, and it's interesting for me because there's a lot of different teams, and I say that so you've got teams that play very good football. You've got teams that maybe play a wee bit more direct,
Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with that. The one thing I've noticed about the league, as I just touched on, was the amount of difficult places you've got to go,
yeah,
and it's been a learning experience for my boys because my boys, a lot of them would have only played on Astle Parks their whole life, and then they're going to play at some of these pitches, which
yeah.
which aren't the best. Let's be honest. So that's been difficult. And some of the football games have been a bit more of a battle than an actual football match, but we've sort of got good at dealing with that. And sometimes people say that the unis aren't as physical, but to be honest, I think my boys are as physical and they've showed they can match it against other teams. So yeah, I've enjoyed being in this division. To be honest, I wouldn't lie, it's something I didn't really know about too much until we dropped down into it. But no, I've enjoyed it. Enjoyed it.
And in terms of yourself, obviously, like you'd mentioned, coming in after Mark, and Mark had been at the uni for a long time. Like, how did it come about that you ended up going to the uni, and what has your been kind of big? like thoughts taking the job and your kind of journey in the game from then?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. So I was under 20s manager, and then I worked closely with Mark at the first team as well.
Right, okay.
So Mark taught me a lot, gave me a really good experience, and ultimately it was him that gave me the opportunity. Um, Mark then left, and what happened was 6 months later, I was still doing my 20s team, and the university just asked me if I wanted to come in as manager. It did take a lot of thought, but I just thought it was too good an opportunity to turn down. And listen, I knew it was going to be a sort of tough gig. Obviously, people talk about how hard recruitment is and working with university teams, but it's a challenge I sort of thrived on. And yeah, I'm loving it, to be honest, and I'm glad I made the decision.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And obviously, you said there as well, like having a squad that had been there for a while, like, I think that kind of goes unnoticed, and that's maybe something if I knew, I'd maybe would have kind of been like, right, okay, that because you hear a lot of players last season. I'm just looking there just now, like Tony Ferry's still there. I'm
Yeah.
probably butchering the pronunciations. A lot of players that you recognise now, but how important is it to have that cohesion, and how good have they been with you as well?
Yeah, so the positive of me already being within the club is I knew a lot of these boys.
Yeah.
And I know you touched on Tony Ferrer. Um, he was dying for me to speak about him. Sorry. So I'm not going to mention him too much, but yeah, no, a lot of the boys are fantastic players. I've got a really good cohesion with them. Um, I feel like the squad's almost goes in 4 years. Every 4 years is a cycle. So a first year student comes in, and if they go to the under 20 side, then we expect them to be in the first team by the
Mhm.
fourth year. So as I said, the recruitment process, even though we do it every year, you're almost looking years and years ahead.
Yeah.
And that's difficult. That's not easy. But the good thing about that is we've got four different teams. We've got a second team, a third team, a 20s team, and ours. So there is a clear pathway there. Also, with recruitment, we've got something called the performance program.
Right. Okay.
So the performance program is the main aim of that, or the main goal, is to get boys from other junior clubs, or possibly higher up, or possibly youth academies that are within the university to come to our football club and enjoy the university experience. Now, with that, we've had boys that have come in that have been absolutely fantastic. We've had boys from St Johnstone, from Hibs, so on, so on. So that program is something that we'll be advertising again just about now, and
Yeah.
hopefully we get some good new recruits and good players.
And like when you speak to a lot of managers in the West, the one thing that they'll say is, "Oh, like we've got a committee, we've got like a kind of a fan base who've been there a while." That the uni's obviously different because like it's a different structure. It's not relying on committees. You can't go out and just say, "Like I need a centre half." You can just go and get one. Like yourself, like how good is that dynamic for you?
So the university is always an interesting one because our committee is player based or student based.
Hmm.
So everyone within that committee is a student. So some of the players you're coaching, um, we've got. So our club captain is actually a twos player. So
Right.
I'm
Okay.
obviously in conversation with him a lot. So you get moments like that, which are good. It's interesting. It's something new for me. But the committee are fantastic. And yes, I can't go out and say I want that player because he's a centre back, but he doesn't
Yeah.
go to Glasgow Uni. That
Yeah.
doesn't work for me. I think on that's where player development's massive. So if I can't develop players, I'm not doing my job correctly. And with that, I feel like my job isn't always even to create a great Glasgow Uni team. It's to give these boys a career in football. Obviously, you would have seen Keelan Adams now playing for Falkirk. He's
Yeah.
sort of the star boy. He played for Glasgow Uni. I know I'm going a wee bit off chart here, but he played for Glasgow Uni. He's gone and done that. So our main aim from me and the committee is, can we make more players footballers?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And like obviously, like the one thing I was going to ask before we kind of get into the weekend, like the uni for people that don't know, you obviously the Glasgow Uni play in the West, but there's also a separate uni league. Like you'll play against other uni teams. Like how's that kind of balancing the games? Because I'd imagine they're very different leagues in terms of kind of style of play. Like you won't be playing in those kind of tough conditions like you maybe get playing in the third division. Like it's a lot more. I'd imagine every game's in an Astro, for example. Like
yeah,
how's that balancing that?
yeah. So it's obviously very difficult to balance because we need a big squad. We need boys to play Wednesday and Saturday. As I said earlier, the boys are quite fit, so they're able to do that. However, if we go to this weekend or the weekend just passed, we struggled a lot with injuries and boys struggling from the Wednesday. We're doing very well in that Wednesday league.
So it's
So
Wednesday, Saturday, in it. Yeah, it's
Wednesday, Saturday, yeah. So it's Wednesday daytime football, and we go up against some top teams.
mhm.
Um, there is probably more technical football played. It's not as physical, and as you said, all the pitches are asked. So it's good. I enjoy the university side of it as well, not just Saturday stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It does sound good. But what in terms of kind of, we'll get into your game on Saturday later on, but we'll cover the cups quickly before we move into the league. We'll start
Yeah,
with the Junior Cup, the one game. Drumchapel United, obviously another West team into the quarter-finals. They beat Downfield 4-1 on penalties. I should just say that the final fifth round tie will be played on Saturday, and it's actually a cracking game. Irvine Meadow Pollock, the winner of that will play Johnson Borough. Drumchapel will play Benburb, Largs play Armadale, and obviously the other one's Camelin and Trinent. Very different Junior Cup this season, but it's still got a good representation of West teams.
yeah, that's some good ties in there. Um, Obviously Drumchapel a great win. I think Drumchapel will be eyeing that cup, as will all the teams. But
Yeah,
to be fair to Drumchapel, at their league position, they're literally not going to go and win the league. So I would say they're looking at a cup like that, and the amount of money and the good committee they've got behind them, I think it would be good for them to go and get success, and that's a cup.
yeah.
But yeah, Irvine Meadows tie Pollock, that'll be a cracking tie. I
That's
would
going
love
to
to
be
go and
incredible.
see that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that could be a really good game to go and watch. We'll get into the West Cup fourth round. Just run through the results. Atherley 1, Darvel 2, Johnson Borough 2, Auchinleck 3, Kilburney 1, Thornleywood 4. I will just say, if you have a spare minute, try and see if you can find Ross Forbes' goal for Thornleywood. It is one of the best goals you'll see all weekend.
Yeah,
St Roch's beating Shotts 3-2 and St Catherick's beating Troon 4-0. Like, the one result that probably jumps to me straight away is Auchinleck beating Johnson 3-2. I think that was a massive boost for Auchinleck.
yeah, that was. Actually watched the highlights of that the other day. A lot of good goals. Obviously Auchinleck probably not doing as well as they would like in the league, but that cup result might just turn things around, and they might start pushing on a wee bit after that. Obviously Johnston Borough's an interesting one because they're probably still in the hunt for the league title in the Premiership. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it'll be a blessing in disguise, but they'll be disappointed to lose that one.
Yeah, I think, like, obviously the league will be massive for Johnson Borough, but I think they'll be disappointed to get out the cup. But
Yeah,
massive for Auchinleck. We'll get
yeah,
into the league. We'll start with the Premier Division. Like, we talk a lot about. I cover a lot of leagues in Scottish football, and the one thing I always say is, it's you can go on runs of 9, 10 games in a row where you're winning 3-0. It's how you respond to adversity. And Clydebank were 2-0 down, I think, after 10 minutes on Saturday. Come
yeah.
back and win 4-2, 6 points clear at the top of the league, maintain their unbeaten run. I think if Clydebank do go on to win the league, I think this is the weekend to look back going, that was massive for us.
Yeah, I think it's the old cliche, but it's probably a sign of champions there.
Yeah,
They're 2-0 down. They're going at half time 2-0, I believe.
I think it was 2-0, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously you're thinking there, Benburb could go and do it, but Clydebank showed great character, come back to win the game, and yeah, I think you're probably right in saying that's a telltale sign for what's to come. Also, I think it's important for Clydebank, the fact they got to that Scottish Cup tie against Hibs, they've come out of it, and it might be quite hard to get back to domestic football and hit the ground running, but they don't seem to have a problem with that, so it's good.
Yeah, what I will just say about Clydebank is I think that will be a massive result, but it's how they navigate their next two games. They're at home to St Cardiff on Saturday and then away to Drumchapel on the Tuesday. Like, if
Yeah,
they can
two
get
tough
6 points
games.
out of that, like if they can walk out of that with a positive record, like that's the sign of champions as well. I
Yeah,
think
definitely.
it's hard to look at them though. 13 games, they've not lost. They won 11 of them. Like, they're, I think they're very good so far, and they're really improving. Another team that are finding a bit of form at the moment are Beath. They won last year's champions, obviously won 1-0 away to Hurlford. Hard fought game by the sounds of it. Docherty with the goal. Like, Beath, I think we'll be disappointed with the start of the season, but they've really improved as of late. Obviously, they had a bad result at Clydebank on Wednesday night, but they were coming into this in a good run. They won 7-3 against Ben Bob and won 2-1 away to Drumchapel. Like, they're kind of beginning to kind of motor a wee bit. They might just come a bit too late for them in terms of going on and trying to try to defend their title, but they'll just want to finish the season strong.
Yeah, look, they've definitely picked up. I know they're sitting sixth in the table right now,
They're six,
but
yeah.
I think they could start to motor up, and teams like Drumchapel, Troon, St Cadoc's aren't too far away from them, so they'll definitely have their eyes up. Obviously, it was a difficult start, but look, they're always a good team, and I know they won the league last year and so on, but I still feel like not many people talk too much about them. They
Yeah,
go under the radar a wee bit. I feel like sometimes it's your Clydebanks, your Johnston Brothers that get talked about quite often, and people sometimes forget about them.
and yeah, there was a lot of transition as well, and there's obviously a
Yeah,
lot of like changes there. They're going for their SFA license, so they'll be
yeah,
hoping that they can kind of get a bit of transition and move on next season. Gart Cairn won, Cumnock nil. Jordan Moore scoring against his old club. Gart Cairn, obviously, like if you take away their points deduction, they would be sitting in third or fourth, third, I think.
yeah.
Like, they are fighting to stay up. I think they'll be good enough to stay up, but they're still. Do you know what I mean? They're Cumnock are in a bad. Cumnock have not had a good season.
No, I think Gart Cairn wouldn't have a problem, to be honest. I watched them not too long ago and I thought they were very good. Obviously they're very good, but with that points deduction, it set them back. But I honestly don't think they'll have a problem. I think the teams above them will be looking down and thinking, Gart Cairn, they're coming behind us. That's not who you want to be up against in a relegation battle, sort of thing. So, yeah, excellent result. And 1-0. Everyone loves a 1-0. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and I think it'll be a bit of a feel good factor for Jordan Moore as well, getting a goal. I think that was his first goal for Gartcairn since he went back
Yeah,
there. Glenafton, massive result for them. They overtake Pollock by beating them 2-1 away from home, goals from McKee and Mullen. And Clydebank, I've got to hand it to Paul Payton since he's been in. He's done really well and they're looking solid.
yeah. Pollock, obviously, another team that have had sort of off-field issues, and I'm hearing a lot. And we could probably talk all night to that about that. But no, fantastic result for Glenafton, especially the fact I think it was at Newlands Field, and that's not
Yeah.
an easy place to go. So yeah, fantastic result, and as you said, they've gone above Pollock now, and they'll be looking up. So I think Talbot just 1 point ahead of them, Largs just a couple of points ahead of them, so they'll be looking up.
Let's go to the first division. And as always, it's a bun fight of a league because you've got four teams and 30 points between first and fourth. You've then got Atherley in 29 points and Rutherglen in 28. There's 2 points between the top six. And
Mental,
this league is just unbelievable. Like
yeah.
every single week, I talk about it. Arthurlie have obviously got the games in hand. I think Arthurlie, like it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate this because I know they get put out of the cup by Darvel, but I think they've still got a couple of games to play in other
They've
cups. Like
got,
just
I think they've only played 12 games in the league, and obviously that's.
yeah,
I
because
think at times you'd rather have points on the board, but if they win them games in hand,
yeah,
they'll
because
be
they play Musselburgh in the quarter final with the South. I think that's at the start of
right.
March. I think that's the only
Okay,
cup they're still in. I might be wrong, but like they're obviously get the side that are you're looking at it going they should be in the top three.
I think it's a Premiership team in the first division,
I
and
would
that makes
totally
sense.
agree with that. And Peter's Hill, I think, are a side that deserve a lot of credit. 1-3-1 away to Cumbernauld, double from Morgan, a goal from Aitken. Like they're a side as well that are beginning to improve. Like they're scoring a lot of goals, as are obviously Rutherglen, Renfrew have really exceeded my
Yeah,
expectations. Peter's Hill have obviously back to back victories. Like they're a side that are kind of going under the radar as well, even though they're sitting in that kind of joint top position.
I was just about to say that. To be honest with you, I had a look at the leagues today, and I didn't actually realise how high up the table Peter Silva
Yeah,
because I haven't heard people talking about them. So yeah, they're flying under the radar. And to be honest, I haven't seen them. We did go and watch them a couple of times last year, and they were a good team. So I'm not quite sure how much they've changed, if they've got new signings, but
they brought in
they
Regan
seem.
Aiken, who was a Gart Cairn. I think he's been a big
I
kind of
saw that
he's
actually.
a good player.
Yeah, yeah. So no, fair play to them. They look like they're doing well. And see, to be honest, playing up at Petershill Park, it's a windy ground, but it's a good surface. It's a place I like because that's where we beat Foreign 7-6, so
Yeah,
sticks
that's
in my
right. Yeah,
memory.
yeah, that's right. You've obviously as well get Rutherglen 4-4 with Blantyre, like a really interesting game. Like I think actually, like despite obviously Blantyre, that's the fifth draw of the season. They're obviously still looking to get into positive points. I think it is just a case of try and regroup for next season. But they'll take a wee bit of encouragement because going to Rutherglen's never easy.
No,
But to score 4 goals and like that'll be a boost for them.
yeah, it sounds like some game to be honest, but
Yeah, I'd love to have been at it.
Bland,
Yeah.
yeah, Blantyre is an interesting one because obviously they had the deduction, and it seems like a wee bit of pressure's been taken off them in that moment, and they've had a couple of results, but fair play to them. It's similar to sort of our games in the past where there's quite a lot of goals, but sometimes they draw. But they'll be more than happy with that. And listen, I think it's a case of them now planning for next season. As good as that sounds, they'll be looking at
Yeah.
we need to make a team that can win the league next year.
Yeah, absolutely. A side that are really beginning to motor it since Jamie McKim's took over at Irvine Meadow. 3 wins in a row, 1-0 win over Maybole. Like Meadow, I thought as soon as Jamie went in, I said he'll go in there, he'll regroup them, he'll get them going. I think they could be, I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking at the end of the season and Irvine Meadow are maybe are certainly in the kind of top half if they keep this going.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, he's a good manager, and he's shown it before at other clubs, and he started fantastic. However, Meadow have some good players. I know Ewan Baird's
Hmm.
striker bags a lot of goals for them, and it's not even just 3 goals in a game. It's important goals to get their 1-0s, to get their 2-0s. He seems to be doing really well there, and I'm sure Jamie will put his own stamp on it, and he'll sign his own players and so on throughout. So I only see them getting better than going up the league table, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's been a great appointment for Irvine Meadow so far, and I'd imagine they'd wanted to continue. Rob Roy are a side that have maybe been kind of disappointing, but a big result for them on Saturday, winning 1-0 away to Vela Clyde obviously takes them. They're still in 14th, but they're now a point behind Vela Clyde. They've got games in hand as well. They're a side that I think are in a bit of a false position, and I can see them motoring as well.
Yeah, so it's funny actually. My brother is a club chaplain at Kirky Lovedoy, so we have a wee
Okay.
bit of banter about that. So
Right,
I watch
okay.
them quite closely. They've obviously had a difficult start to the
Hmm.
season. It wasn't helped by us beating them in the junior cup either. So my brother wasn't too happy with me that day. But no, I think that sort of 1-0, and I think they drew 2-2 to Renfrew a couple of weeks ago. That's not a bad result either. I think
Yeah.
they will start to pick up points. I know they've signed a couple of new bodies, um, but to go to Vela Clyde, which I think Vela Clyde, if I'm right, haven't lost at home this year.
Hmm.
So to go and win at Vela Clyde, you can only be happy with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But again, this league will probably have different positions next weekend, but it's still an incredible league. I think if
Yeah,
you want to look at a league in Scottish football that is just unbelievable to follow, it is that one as always. Second division, Neilston, obviously 14th win of the season. They won 3-1 at home to Yoker, a double from McNabb and a goal from McCabe. Neilston in first. Whitlett's obviously new management team there, and former Maybole manager Graham Neal. They won 4-0 at home to Larkhall. Goals from Boyd, Moffat, Howarth, and Kerr. Like, Muirkirk obviously in third. Like, you'd imagine, I will be very surprised if that top three changes between now and the end of the season.
yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it is sort of between them top three. It's interesting because Muirkirk have a young team, but an excellent team. We
Yeah.
played them last year, and I thought they were absolutely fantastic. I know
Mhm.
some of their coaching staff they do things the right way. It'll be interesting to see how they get sort of later towards the season when there's a wee bit more pressure on. Whitlett's obviously they've got an out and out goal scorer in Jordan Boyd.
Yeah.
Without wanting him to go away, I think there'll be a lot of teams looking at him because you just look at the numbers and it seems like they've got a very good goal scorer there. And Neilston, look, I think if I was going to pick one of them three, I think Neilston might pick the title.
Yeah, I think they're very, very hard to beat, and as well they're bouncing back pretty well. They did tough defeat a couple of weeks ago, but they're bounced
Yeah,
back. I've been really impressed in recent weeks with the former Mary Hill that they've really turned a corner. Third one in a row, they won 4-1 at home to Bells Hill, who they overtaken the table. Goals from Sloan, Jarvis, Hamilton, and Baxter. I did say this. I put this in the Patreon yesterday. Like that's their third win in a row. They obviously drew with Lanark before that. Like they've had a tough start, a kind of bit of a mixed start, but they're really beginning to find their feet now.
Yeah, it's interesting because everyone was sort of talking about the panic Mary Hill must have, and you're
Hmm.
only talking maybe a month, 2 months ago.
Yeah,
And I remember Mark saying it. It's see if you can just get a number of results in it on the top, then it changes massively, and that's exactly what's happened. So it showed there was no panic there. It would come. And by the way, Mary Hill have some fantastic players.
yeah,
Johnny Baxter, who actually scores
really
a lot
good.
of goals, he's another one that used to play for Glasgow University as
Yeah,
well. So it's good to see these boys doing well, but no, it's good to see Mary Hill doing well as well and getting out of that trouble.
yeah, and two sides that are very solid at the moment. Caledonian Locomotives 3-2 away by Nickel Side Rangers, and Bonnet and Thistle 1-3-2 away to Cambuslang. Two big away victories. There's only a point between Caledonian and Bonnet, and they're seventh and eighth, and they'll be delighted with an away result.
Yeah, definitely. See, I always say this to my boys, especially in our league, and it'll be the same in the second division. Any away result you're happy with, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? You go to tough places, you get some tough crowds, you get some tough conditions, tough pitches, and any result away from home like that, you'll go home happy with.
yeah, absolutely. We'll move into the third division. Let's go to Glasgow University 6, Irvine Victoria 3. Murphy scoring a double. You also Fordyce, Ferry, Logan, and Strang. Like 9 goal thriller, I'd imagine the fans are going to get their money's worth. But scoring 6 goals, you can't be disappointed with
That's all 20 fans would have got their money's worth.
that.
We don't have many fans at Glasgow Uni, to be honest, but we'll work on that. No, delighted with obviously scoring 6 goals. It could have been more. I think that's fair to say. But the pleasing thing is when I look at it, it's three of our goal scorers were twos players last year, so they played for the
Fair.
Glasgow University twos. So that shows the pathway in itself. They've come into the first team and they've scored lots of goals. See, to be honest, first 60 minutes, I thought we were fantastic. I thought we used the pitch to our advantage, moved the ball well, played out from the back, and I haven't put the highlights up, but I'm close to. But some of the goals are fantastic. I might put them up tonight. Um, and look, Irvin Vicks, I understand they're struggling, but they give us something to think about probably last half hour, last 35 minutes.
Do you think they're a
I
team that
think
can
that,
improve? Obviously, Ben's took over there, obviously coming from Meadow. Do you think they're a team that can maybe improve in the next kind of stage of the season?
listen, I think Ben said it himself. I think for them to improve, they will need to get new faces in
Yeah,
and fitter faces in. They did struggle with fitness, and it's weird because they probably played better than the last 30 minutes, but that was after subs and so on. But listen, I think Ben also said it himself. They've got 13 games left.
yeah,
They were probably seeing us as a must win. I think they go to they go to someone Glenville maybe next week, something like that. But I
yeah.
think their next game is very important as well. So basically, if they're going to save themselves, things have to change now. Let's be honest. But look, I think Ben could do a good job there, and he's obviously known what he's gotten into. So, um, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, no, a massive result for Glasgow Uni. Thorn, obviously, they moved 9 points clear at the top of the table. 4-2 home win over Girvan. Goals from McClellan, Steele, Roger. It was an own goal. Like, Thorn, that 7-6 game, obviously, I think is, I could probably, like, I think I might get you back on it. We could do a pod on it, but, like, they score 6 goals in that game and don't win. Like, I don't think they'll ever be in that position again. But it's hard not to be impressed with how well they've done, and obviously being the only side to beat them in the league this season, you must be impressed with them.
Yeah, see, even when we played them on that day, I was extremely impressed with how they
Yeah,
played. The playing out from the back, sort of. I wouldn't give too much away in case other teams are watching, but lots of rotations, lots of inverted fullbacks, things like that. You can tell they're well coached.
Mhm.
You can tell their boys are doing exactly what they're told from the sidelines. And look, I always think this: if you respect a team like that, I think they deserve the benefit of it. And being honest, I think they'll go up, no doubt about it. I've seen them play numerous times. See, against us, I was just thinking, and I said this to the boys, look, they're going to score goals today. We just need to score more than them. And that's the way we went toe to toe with them. And don't get me wrong, probably got a wee bit lucky at some senses, but you need to. But yeah, that was a good day. And it's good seeing the one loss they've got. At least we know that was us.
I'm going to put you in the spot a wee bit here, but if I was to say who joins Thorn in the promotion places, who would it be?
It's a difficult one. So Greenock, we played them obviously. We played them twice. A bit more direct, a good side, an experienced side. I think they'll have enough to get over the line.
Okay.
And the interesting one is probably Threave
Yeah, they
because
had a
they've
good
got
result.
so many games to play.
Mm.
Um, and they had this situation last year, I think, where they had a big load of games to play and it sort of affected them. We haven't played them yet, so I don't know how they are.
Right, okay.
Kilsyth, very good team. We've still got to play them away, so we'll see how that goes. But to pick one out of Kilsyth and Threave would be difficult. Yeah,
Okay.
very difficult.
Threave won 6-0 away to Vale of Leven, like a massive result as well. Lugar, a big result for them, like obviously managerless since George went to Maybole.
Yeah,
3-0 away won to Glenvale. Like Lugar, like again, they've got good players. Like you'd imagine, like I wrote this as well during the week. Whoever goes into Lugar, if somebody's told me that there's potentially a manager appointment coming this week, I don't know.
okay.
I'm not. I don't know who it is. That's all I've heard. If they go in at the moment, though, they're going into a place full of confidence because they're on the back of two straight victories and they're sitting in a good position in the league, actually.
Yeah, they've had a good run of form. I think I looked at the form table in our league. I think they're maybe top three in form.
Yeah, they
So
could be.
they're doing really well. We played them earlier on in the season, and to be honest, they probably struggled at Airdrie. I think their manager at the time would have said that, but see, especially at home. But even they've gone away this week and won. It's a great result, but I think their home pitch is a huge advantage for them. They've taken some cup scalps at home. I think it's a place we'll find difficult to go away. Um, but no, fair play to them. They're doing great.
Another team that are going under the radar as well are Fanat. They won their ninth game of the season. They won 2-1 at home to Ardere, who have also been in a really good position. Fanat now go above Ardere in the league into fifth. Like they're a team you can't discount either.
Yeah, Fanart is another team I was very impressed with. A lot of good players and a lot of good young players. Um, I don't say there's a right way to play football, but if there is, they probably do play it that way, and it helps. They play on Aston most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Ardea, to be honest, they've been up and down. I know Sean goes on about consistency as well. They're a good team on their day. Quite physical, quite aggressive, but I think in general they'll be happy that they're up and about there and sort of pushing that top three.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think they're a good side as well. Perthshire came from 2-0 down to draw with Kilsyth Athletic. We'll get your thoughts on Perthshire towards the end of the show because that's where he's going Saturday. We'll go
Yep.
into the fourth division. Port Glasgow again. Like I am not ruling them out, giving Knightswood a go here. Like I think it is between like 4 or 5 teams for third place because I can't see past Knightswood and Port Glasgow.
Yep.
3-0 win for them, obviously. Double from Rogers, goal from McLaughlin. The thing with Port Glasgow is they've got a lot of talent, they've got such good experience, and they're going to bounce straight back up.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Dylan McLaughlin there. I think he's got 15 goals this season, which is a good start for this time in the season. Um, Obviously, I haven't been able to see them much, but see, to be honest, at the start of the season, I would have expected them to maybe go up.
Yeah.
And listen, I've watched a bit of Knightswood. They play at North Kelvinside Primary, where I work a lot, and they're a very good team. I don't see past them. I know you're saying maybe it's between Port and Knightswood. I'm just back in Knightswood. I think I've seen enough.
I think like it'll be interesting to see who wins the league, but I can't see by
Yeah,
both of them by promotion. Like Kello are a side that are giving it a go as well. They won 4-3
yep,
out away to Campbelltown. It's never easy to go there and win, especially how cold it was on Saturday. I can imagine that like just going there and getting the result was all that mattered. And
absolutely.
they're a side that similar to Port Glasgow to a degree. They're just looking to get back up as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's the aim when you go down, isn't it? You want to go straight back up.
Mm-hmm.
Kello, I think have a great chance of going up into that third spot. As you said, second is probably too much of an ask, but thirds, there's a good couple of teams. Even those fail. West Park, West Park, another very good team. We played them in pre-season. I thought they were absolutely
Yeah.
excellent. But yeah, no, I think Kello will be quite happy where they're sitting, and I think they'll be more than confident they can go up and get one of them spots.
Yep, another side that have been impressive as of late are Carluke. They won 5-1 away to BSC, hat trick from Steele, goals from Grenfell and Downs. Like they're into eighth now. They've done well. They're another side who maybe too late for them this season to try and get in promotion, but they'll just be hoping to finish as strong as possible.
Yeah. See, that's the same problem we had. A bad start can kill you a wee bit.
Yeah.
And as soon as you have a bad start, you're obviously left behind a wee bit. So they've done well to get where they are, and hopefully they continue to push on. Carluke's a tough place to go as well. We went there, we lost in the cup. They were very good that day. No arguments with who should have won. They beat us fair and square. And yeah, a good team, so I think they will push on.
And Saltcoats won 5-1 at home to New Mains. Hat trick from Ewan Anderson, double from Ross Ingram. And Royal Albert winning 5-3 away to Eglinton, a hat trick from Bell and a double from Brannan. Like 5 goals home and away, you'll no argue with that. And they're
No.
two sides that I think are beginning to kind of find a bit of form. And the target for them is just get up the table as fast as they can.
Yeah, see, to be honest, it's the time where they need to find form because you've got new mains there sitting in 14th. That could be catching up with them, so they've got to start picking up form, and they are a wee bit just to get away from that. Well, it's not a delegation zone, but the bottom spell. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
See, to be honest, what I noticed about this league is the amount of goals scored in it, and I was
Yes.
thinking about this today. I think it's the most goals out of any league. I don't know if that's the lowest division.
You'll probably be right, yeah, because that's the goals are incredible.
Aye, and I think if you look at sort of the teams for all the leagues, the ones that have scored the most goals, Knightswood, Port Glasgow, and Easterhouse are all up there in the top five. So
Yeah.
just quite an interesting thing I've
Yeah,
seen
no,
today.
definitely. Yeah, I think that is it's a league for goals anyway. We'll move into this weekend coming up. It's a busy weekend again. Kind of back to kind of full league situation. I was saying in another podcast, I'm hoping that we're over the kind of bad weather stage of the season. I think pretty much will be good from here on out. Just some games that I really kind of catch my eye over the weekend. Clydebank play St Cadoc's in the Premier Division. Glenafton Cumnock local derby. Troon Johnson Borough I think is very interesting as well. You've got First Division Arthurlie Rutherglen. You've got Colwyn and Vale of Clyde. Thorneywood Renfrew I think is interesting as well. Second Division, Kilsyth, Whitlets, and you've got Bonnet and Nielsen, I think, could be quite interesting. Into the third division, like Glasgow United and Thorn. We mentioned obviously Finnart Lugar, I think, is interesting. Into the fourth division, you've got Knightswood and Giffnock, could be one to keep an eye on. Eglinton, Kello. But if we head to Keppoch Park, Glasgow Perthshire versus Glasgow University, big game, big Glasgow derby. How are you feeling
Yeah.
about it, and what's your kind of thoughts going into this game?
Firstly, it's funny because their pitch is more of a home pitch to us than Airdrie's, so it's quite local to us. But no,
Yeah,
looking forward to it. It's obviously going to be a very different game to sort of the games we play at home. Difficult part to go to, and we played them earlier in the season, and it was quite a mad game. We had two goalies sent off, which you don't see very often, so it was hard to judge them. You always know what you're going to get from a Perthshire side, though. Physical, quite direct. They do this dirty side of the game perfectly, so we'll have to adapt. We can't go there and play fancy tippy tappy football. We're going to have to battle it with Glasgow Perthshire. But look, we'll be going for 3 points, nothing less. I believe we can do that. I spoke to you at the start of the show about consistency. We've gone and beat Irvine Vicks. Now we're looking to go and beat Perthshire and make it two in the top.
well, we can only wish you all the best for the rest of the season and for Saturday, mate. I've thoroughly enjoyed having you on. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone that's tuned in. Please, as always, follow our content on our Patreon, and you can follow us on social media as well. And for more content, subscribe to our YouTube and podcast channels. Thank you very much.